I live in a town you've never heard of. I live in the small town of Ingenstade, a small port town in Maryland, and our town has strange rules and happenings that everyone accepts. Our town was started by a small group of Danish settlers who were supposedly here before any of the other Europeans. Supposedly. Our library has a historical section devoted to the lives of the early settlers, diaries, plans for the town, sea routes, stuff like that. You can't take any of these books out of the library, as they are important to our town's history, and no one wants a toddler to draw in them while a middle schooler uses them for a school project. We are always told that the settlers were Danish, but when the books were first discovered, they had a language that people still can't locate to this day. Each day, on the town's anniversary, the local news channel runs the same story on it, with the same black and white footage from the 50s. They haven't bothered to change it because they say that it's another part of our history. Our news channel is a good place to start, actually. Have you seen the Uncanny Valley effect? That's what our newscasters look like. Even when they walk around town, their faces look like they're made of stone, smoothed down with sandpaper, and their teeth are all perfectly white. Their eyes never close, like ever. They always come close, but they end up just squinting. Their pupils are just a little too big. They look not just pale, but pitch white. Their smile is upturned a little too much, almost like a cartoon. They never stop smiling. I don't know what routine they have to follow, but it's creepy. The weirdest rule is that you have to watch the news with your family every night. If you don't, a voice will knock on your door and ask if everyone is watching the TV. I say voice because when I look out the door, no one is there, but something is still knocking on the door. The news every night is weird. We don't have a lot to report, so each story ends up being overly personal. Anything remotely happening in someone's life is broadcasted for an hour on television. Affairs, failing businesses, list persons' cases, all delivered to us with a bright smile by our beloved hosts. Weird messages pop on the screen. If you look hard enough, words like normal and fine in fuzzy letters will pop onto the screen in the background, or the TV will black out for a split second, and white words will be center screened. Those go by faster, so I haven't been able to read them yet. We have barely any modern technology in our town. Computers are all the barely functioning boxes that they were in the 90s. Everyone has a brick phone, and cell phones are almost a thing of the past. Only a select few people have them, those people being the mayor and the news hosts. People aren't allowed to have friend groups bigger than a single person. You don't have to have a friend, but most people do. You aren't allowed to go anywhere with that friend, not that there is much to do around here anyway. The best thing we have is a drive-in movie theatre. Practically the whole town goes, but it's only every Friday. People are allowed to gather as a family, but only for an hour. I chose not to have a friend, as all of the people at school seem happy here. No one questions anything. Some people break the rules. Those people aren't really seen again. If they are, they come back as news reporters who go to scenes of the news. The reporters aren't viewed as highly as the broadcasters. They are seen as invasive, which makes sense. I've seen reporters in the home of people going through a domestic dispute on the same ledge as someone about to jump off. And I've even seen them on the scene of a murder before the police got there, but that only happened once. We never saw that reporter again. I think he snapped and killed someone, right? Then started recording himself at the scene. All news tapes are archived in the library. I watched that newscast once, as a dare to myself. After seeing it, I definitely believe that that reporter killed that woman. One day I want to watch more of those tapes. Outsiders occasionally wander into town. They don't stay for long, as we really don't have anything to do here or a hotel for people to stay at. We don't have gas stations as we don't have cars, so some people do get stuck. We have service, as some of us do have phones, but no one comes to help out here. This place was never put on any maps. Outsiders that get stuck here have to go to City Hall for the relocation process. They fill out a form that says they have no way to get out of town, which is said while under oath, and that they need a place to stay. City Hall has a small amount of rooms for situations like this, but not too many. I don't know what happens in City Hall for the relocation process, but when they come out, a home is built for them, and they all act like they've been here all their lives. Our neighbours, the Johannistons, used to be outsiders. Now, the mom is the vice president of the PTA. They have been here for a month. You have to have lived here for 3 years to be VP of the PTA. They act like they have been here since their children were born. And even the kids act weird. There were government officials that came to investigate, but their car mysteriously ran out of gas and ended up submitting to the relocation process after being chased down in the woods. Now they live 2 blocks over. Happy people. Good citizens. I'm not watching TV tonight. It's risky, though. I don't know what happens beyond the knocking, if something else happens after that. I guess I'll find out tonight. Wish me luck. They came in. They came inside. I hid in my room. I have a broken closet that doesn't open or close easily, so I stayed in there. When my parents noticed I was gone, they started to panic. They started beating on the bathroom door, hoping that I was in there. So when I still didn't answer, they yelled at my brother to help them look, sounding scared. At this point, I was rethinking my plan, but I stuck with it. A little while later, the knocking started. Slow at first. My parents didn't answer the door, didn't respond to the thing's questions. Are you in there? We know you aren't watching. Do you know what happens? It said, its voice sounding like the thing's tongue was in the process of being swallowed. A deep, gurgly tone the thing spoke with. I heard it from my room. Then it moved from the front door to my window, now knocking rapidly. At one point, I thought that the window would break. My parents, knowing the thing knew where I was, moved to looking in my room. My father tore down the door with strength I didn't know he had and yanked me in the direction of the TV. But it was too late. The front door broke down, a loud thud sounding throughout the house, seemingly echoing off the walls. My father glared at me as if cursing the day I was born, for that day brought about this single moment. It was in the house. Loud steps marched rhythmically into the hallway, one heavy football after the other. It was a cameraman, looking tired, dishevelled, and like he was about to cry. He pointed the camera at us as lighter footsteps, previously unheard under the sound of the camera holder's heavy boots, could now be heard. An on-the-scene reporter. Something bad was about to happen. The reporter, looking worse for wear than the cameraman, sighed and gave a nod to the man holding the camera. He gave a countdown from 5 and the light turned on the camera. We were live to the whole town. That's right, Tom. A whole family of deserters decided to be absent from the broadcast tonight. We are live in their home, and I have the disgusting pieces of garbage here with me now. To his credit, the reporter added much more bravado to his voice than I thought he had in him. He sounded very professional, except for the slight waver in his voice, though that was most likely covered up by the fuzzy crackle of the town's out-of-date televisions. He turned to us. Do you know what happens when you skip the broadcast? He sounded like a game show host. We all shook our heads. Despite my research, I had never come across a story of people not watching the broadcast. Anyone who got the knocks would fall in line fairly quickly afterwards. Well, let's show you. He moved towards me, but my father stepped in his way. Despite his anger at me, he was still my father, and I will always love him for that. Are you going to take it? The man whispered, leaning in towards my father. Yes, I am, he turned to me, anger gone, love in his eyes. I love you. Before I could say anything back, the reporter pulled his hand back and slapped my father across the face. Taking a step back, shocked, he looked at the man. No talking, scum. What preceded was a brutal beatdown on my father. A policeman was called in, baton in hand, and he and the reporter kicked, beat, punched, and bludgeoned my father to near death. My father looked near unrecognizable in the aftermath, his sobs muddled by the blood in his throat. Cuts all along his face, neck and body bled profusely. A mess of gore turning my purple carpet a deep shade of reddish black. Then they left, quieter than they came in. My father was denied treatment at the hospital, people avoiding us like the plague. Passing doctors and nurses looked at us we were puppy killers. We ultimately had to treat him at home, where all we had was a first aid kit, which barely held enough stitches to put him back together. He then died later that night. Our efforts went to waste. Apparently, his lungs had been damaged, and he drowned in his own blood. He passed overnight. He didn't struggle at the end, just accepting the fact that he had protected his family. I woke up the next day to my mother crying. The way she looked at me over my father's dead body, she blamed me. I could tell. I felt like I had to go to the library. I need answers. This can't be a normal way to live. Why do people around here just accept this? Well, I just can't. As I biked my way to the library on the other side of town, I could feel people's eyes on me as they walked by. We don't have cars, but we do have roads, for some reason. The roads are car-sized, but are mostly used by bikers. I got into the library and immediately felt the eyes of the librarian burning into the back of my skull. Mrs. Marsh was always a crabby old lady and had been here since my parents were little, if that tells you anything. I immediately headed towards the basement where the tapes of old broadcasts are, as well as a VHS to watch them on. First tape, titled First Killer. In this tape, a man could be seen walking through the woods. We're talking to the camera. "So I'll be your first story, yeah?" the walking man asked. Yes, sir," the young reporter replied. As they made their way further into the forest, a tent could be seen. All around it, shaved wooden spikes could be seen, with what appeared to be human heads stabbed on top. The camera zoomed in on one of them, the spike visible through their open mouth. They approached the tent, and a body could be seen on the inside, multiple incisions held open by surgical tools. His guts could be seen easily, their dark shade not lost through the black and white colours of the camera. His muscles pulsed as blood squirted around the tent. Then the tape ended. I need to look for a second part. There's someone down here with me. I can hear them winding through the shelves. I had to run. I've been hiding for the past couple of minutes. The sounds seem to be getting farther away. I'll update if anything else happens.